welcome to the show.
Yeah. Can I do it for once?
Do it.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners what you're drinking.
I don't know if I should. It's a little bit of caffeine. Just a little bit.
20 milligrams.
I need it. Yeah.
I'm gonna
a little vanilla Coke. That's my go-to.
I am drinking the honestly, I would say it is probably my favorite energy drink that exists.
Mine too. I've never drank a full one though, but
the Rainbow Sherbet.
Wow. It's good.
And for Xander specifically, Steven, it is
oh my gosh.
Sherbet. Just for you.
Sherbet.
I'm drinking the Rainbow Sherbet. Have you seen the commercial? It's like, or it's I guess it'd be a TikTok where they're like, for all my American friends, it's croissant, and then it splices over, and he's like, dude, we know it's croissant, but it would sound weird if we're like, hey, can you pass me that croissant? Like, do you go, when you're in America, do you go, hey, we're going to go to McDonald's?
Okay.
Because that's the way we're supposed to say McDonald's.
Okay, but you know, like, have you ever heard, like,
croissant.
People from Japan speaking Japanese, though? And then the way that they, like, phonetically pronounce stuff like that, like, it literally sounds like that sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
But, I mean, they're Japanese and they're all quirky, so, like, they can pull it off, but, like...
Also, the saying croissant, like... the way it's supposed to be
said. Even still, you're not saying it.
I know, but it's a
croissant. You gotta make it sound like the crust of the bread.
Do you remember that clay animated video series on MTV where they would fight and they wrestle?
Celebrity Deathmatch?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know when the dude would be like, let's get it on. And like, that's how whenever anybody says croissant the right way, it sounds like that.
That's not from Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh, what's it from?
That's from Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Oh, you're right. Same era, but yeah, I could see how I mixed it up.
Everyone listening,
MXC, dude.
Everyone listening who's been born and raised Christians and have no idea what we're talking about, that's because you were raised in good homes where your parents cared about what you watched.
Regulated what you watched? Dude, like every once in a while I'm having a conversation with somebody my age that grew up in a Christian home and I'm like, have you seen this show? No. Have you seen this show? No. Have you seen, what did you watch? VeggieTales. Oh yeah, you grew up in a household that your parents cared.
Last week I just had a conversation with a student who was like, yeah, my mom wouldn't allow me to watch Pokemon. And I was like, oh yeah, because of evolution. And then they were like, no, because I didn't grow up Christian. I was like, that's the first time. And I can't even remember what he said.
Yeah.
The reason that his parents wouldn't let him watch Pokemon. I can't remember.
Oh, what did he say?
Because of the violence, I think. The animals fighting animals. But I'm like, literally every single time in ministry that I've heard a college student say my parents would not let me watch Pokemon.
Yeah.
It was because of evolution.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, that one actually caught me off guard. I was surprised by that interaction. But also, if you've noticed that we seem to be missing a voice. I don't know. It's like... Yeah. Like I hear you speaking, but it's like there's usually this cackle in the background.
Missing in more ways than one.
Was that a good impression of his laugh?
That's very true. That's good.
No, our co-host Phil, he had to. He's going home, and we burned through a couple episodes because we had to miss recording. And so we weren't able to, and plus Christmas is coming up and we just want to get a little bit ahead. So Courtney and I are recording an episode, just the two of us. So we've had one episode where it was pretty much just Phil and I, and it was complete unhinged mayhem. And I'm kind of curious what it's going to be like when it's just you and I, because I feel like it's going to be a lot more organized. But
maybe.
Yeah,
it might just be a small window into our marriage when it's just you and me. So
that's scary. I'm sorry, listener.
Why did I have to bring that perspective? We could have just made it through the episode without that pressure. Gosh. But you know what? Like, I give you guys a lot of cred every single time. Like, you can probably, listeners, hear me roll my eyes every time they start talking about their energy drinks. But this time, with that one, the Rainbow Sherbet, I will vouch for it. It's like... It's super good. It's not good. Super sugary. It doesn't have a nasty aftertaste. Like,
it tastes like
I've never
sherbet.
drank a whole one by myself just because I don't do that much energy. I don't do that much caffeine in one drop. 300 milligrams. But I always steal a sip of Tanner's. Well, less frequently now that I'm pregnant.
Yeah, you haven't drank it since you got pregnant.
Yeah, I've just been having actual rainbow sherbet.
Yeah, that's true.
I kind of want.
You ran out. Now. I need to go get some. Yeah.
Okay. Just to make Tanner accountable, he has denied to go get me ice cream late at night.
We talked about that last week. You already threw me under the bus. You already shamed me.
Yeah, well, just saying it hasn't happened since.
You're sitting in the comfy chair right now.
When your wife wants hot fudge.
Hey.
Okay, these are just all things that I deserve when I'm pregnant.
I gave you my office chair because you're pregnant aunt.
Yeah. These are all things that I deserve. Okay.
Oh my gosh. So
now that I'm comfortable, I have a blanket across my lap. I have a little bit of caffeine. Apparently, I'm still cranky. So
I've been using the massage gun more recently because Phil and I have been hitting the weight room really hard. And then on top of that, I used it to help you out a little bit because you had some muscles that were well. But then we found out that you're not supposed to use them when you're pregnant. Yeah. And my goal is to not say pregnant correctly ever again on this show. But just kind of make fun of us using words like the Third Reich or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but anyway. Our son has begun coming up and asking for me to massage him with the massage gun. Really he holds his arm out and he's like, "My turn," and then I'll let him just like let it sit on his skin for just a split second, and then he's like, "Okay," and then he takes off. Oh man!
Other than that, I glare across the room at you as you're using the massage gun on yourself because I can't join in. Just like I roll my eyes while you and Phil are talking energy drinks because I can only have about so much caffeine.
I've showed you how to use it. I have to use it on myself. But
it's tough when you're pregnant with sciatic pain. Sciatica pain. Yeah. I'm not going to explain further than that, but like, okay.
Oh man.
Good stuff. Anyways.
Speaking of electronic devices.
Oh my gosh.
Have you been keeping up with the drones at all?
You mean with the thousands and dozens of videos that I've been being sent by you, by Phil, in group chats, in Discord? I've been trying, guys. I've been trying.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet heeding the Maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?
And I'm still behind, so I've been trying. It's a total thing now. Like the drones, like it's crazy. And I've had several moments within the past couple weeks where I was like, I remember a few years ago when Tanner said, "Hey, apparently there's been a whole lot of drone sightings and it's just this weird phenomenon that I've been tracking and I'm a part of Facebook groups. I thought you were crazy." And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, let's just give this time. It'll wear off. You'll move on to something different. And now it's like, it's being covered by mainstream news.
Yeah.
There's official, the incoming president is being asked questions about what he thinks of it. And being told he can't fully disclose whether or not he's been briefed on it.
That's on my notes. One of the things I wanted to share. Before we get to that though,
I jumped ahead.
I wanted to go back to something you said about sounding crazy. So we just bought a new couch, and so I took a dude's day because we bought it from about an hour and a half away from where we live.
We were like we don't want to spend $300 on shipping, so I'm going to send my husband out into the wild with a bunch of guys in a pickup truck and see what happens.
Yeah, so we loaded up on energy drinks as you do, and then we went and threw axes. And shout out to John, he's one of our faithful listeners. Mm-hmm. He bested me in the axe competition 4-3, and Matt didn't win a single one. But he is German, and they are kind of notorious for losing battles.
Wow.
But anyway, we went threw some axes, ate some steak, do what guys do, loaded up the couch, and came back. And I was talking to him. Sounds really irrelevant, but I was going to get to is that I was talking to him a little bit about the drones and the orbs and stuff, and they literally, because Matt is a recluse, he doesn't use any social media, anything at all. He doesn't even barely watch the news. He just he exists in life, and like I envy Matt. Like I don't know if I could do it. And then John,
he knows the Bible so well that at this point in his life, I don't know if I will ever catch up to him in terms of biblical knowledge.
Yeah,
he just has a capacity and a love for it, and I love that. So. He's legit.
He's so cool. I love talking through theology with him because if there's anybody who can challenge me in my circle of influence that can challenge me on scripture, that's not a pastor, he's one that I definitely trust and look up to on. But then John, who he listens to our show, he's on social media, he stays up to date, but he didn't really know what was going on. So then I'm talking about this, and I'm just going on, and then I'm like, I sound like a crazy person right now. I really do
a lot in public.
I know. We were in a vehicle, so you don't have to be embarrassed by me.
Oh, believe me, I could hear the awkward silence from here across state lines.
But it's so intriguing because it's when neither one of them remembered, or I don't know if I guess maybe I can't remember whether they remembered, but talking about the drone sightings around here back in 2019, and I came up with a conspiracy theory on my own from that. That because of the drones, there was thousands, if not tens of hundreds of thousands, possibly even, of drone sightings in across Nebraska, southeast Wyoming, northeast Colorado, southwest South Dakota. And if you look at a map where all of our spicy weapons are, because they're starting to shadow ban words like that. It's dumb. But anyway, we'll call them.
I'm trying to think of a good word. Yeah.
Spicy ballistics. If you look at a map of spicy ballistics in America, it literally covers this region. And we were seeing tons and tons and tons of drones. And the rumor back then was, and it was purely rumor, it was purely speculation, it was just within the groups that I was a part of us just kind of throwing things out there, was that there's possibility that a spicy ballistic, spicy capable ballistic went missing. And that maybe they were looking for it, because back then we were talking like, what are the capabilities of these drones? What do they look at? What are they looking for? And we theorized that it was maybe possibly something went missing, and they were just, because it seemed like it started in one area and it just kind of spread out, and it was almost like they were just like mapping it like you would a plane, almost like, have you ever seen a farming drone?
Well, I mentioned that, I think, when I was telling my drone story, because it was like hovering over a field right next to the highway, but I was like, it's flying parallel to us, so it doesn't seem like it's doing GPS for crops and that kind of stuff.
But they do,
because that's how a lot of farm equipment is just set loose. It's by GPS.
Yeah, exactly.
Tracking, and then they just do the thing.
And they typically do it, from what I understand, they do it during the day so they can keep an eye on it and make sure that it isn't floating off or wrecked or whatever, I don't know. But it seemed like they were like tracking, and it didn't seem like it was field drones. It seemed like it was mostly at night. But then somebody threw out the idea that, well, maybe at night it's easier to see them because they have to be lit up according to FAA regulations. They could be flying during the day, because how often do you see a farming drone flying during the day? Like,
I've never seen it.
I don't know.
I mean, that was the first not hobby drone that I had ever seen. So,
and if a hobby drone is flying, it's got to be pretty close to you. You got to be able to hear it before you can see it. They're small enough. But So maybe they are flying during the day and we just don't see them because they're not lit up and obvious, easy to see. And so my theory was that that maybe what happened was a spicy ballistic did go missing, and they were unable to track it down. And then COVID hit, everybody got stuck inside. It's possible the drones continued. We don't know because people stopped going out as much. And so it seemed like the sightings kind of slowly drifted off. And then we were so obsessed over COVID. Well, what if I have two conspiracy theories out of that? My first conspiracy theory is, what if something did actually go missing and they finally got word of where it ended up, or maybe it finally made its way to its destination and something got leaked, or maybe they saw a trace of it somewhere and then all of a sudden, we found that spicy ballistic. And so they started searching for it and it made its way, and it's making its way into New York. And so that would be kind of a connection of the two events that possibly, whatever. I just thought of another one that literally, off the top of my head just now, is what if the one in 2019 was just a test to see if they could operate so that in the coming years they could start to roll this out intentionally, or even practice it so that when they needed it, they could roll it out as a distraction. And so what if, because all of a sudden we're not talking about Luigi's Mansion anymore and the adjuster, we're not talking about him. All of a sudden it's like that disappeared. That story's gone. And that seemed like people were getting worked up. Like it seemed like there was going to be some copycats. Like it was looking like it was a little scary there for a moment with that. And now all of a sudden the only thing we're talking about are these drones and orbs and stuff. Yeah. So maybe this is a rollout of an intentional distraction.
See, I don't know. I feel like I'm still seeing quite a bit about both different phenomenon going on. And so I only take so much stock in the whole, this is happening as a distraction from this. It's once there's enough of these stories that are in the news and enough people who are in the comment section, because I've seen people in the comment section of the Luigi stuff, Luigi's Mansion, and them saying, well, no one's talking about the drones anymore. And I'm like, dude, everyone's talking about the drones. Right.
So that's true. That's true.
Sometimes, Tanner, I think you're like a conspiracy theory hydra. Like, we chop off one head and then you get two more conspiracy theories to replace it.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
But it's crazy because we could just speculate on this, because something like that type of spicy ballistic, I don't know what to call it, man.
Yeah, spicy ballistics.
Like going missing.
Spicy suitcase.
I was trying to come up with something, but everything that I came up with sounded dumb or kind of dirty. Okay, anyways, well, it's like that's something that's never going to be rolled out to the public, so we're not going to have confirmation on that, Right. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. And
so it's hard to like wonder. It's hard to figure out, like, is there some other evidence in the news cycle that we can pick up on, which is actually the reason behind the drones, or is it something that we're just never going to hear about? Yeah. And so, I don't know.
Yeah, and I do want to say I do recognize that I do come up with conspiracy theories quite a bit, but I want to add that I don't come up with conspiracy theories like. It's not a fear reaction for me. Yeah. Whereas I feel like a lot of people who get obsessed with conspiracy theories, it's almost like a fear reaction of like and mine is more just I think it's fun. It's fun to speculate because of my beliefs with.
I don't think mine's a fear. I think it's just
I wasn't accusing.
Well, I know, but sometimes you do say that, like right after I'm like, okay, and it feels like you're kind of trying to flex on me a little bit.
Oh, no,
mine is more just like my brain is exhausted trying to keep up with possibilities and information. So I need to tap out and like talk about the book I'm reading or something, Yeah. Yeah. But
my brain just it just never stops.
That sounds like anxiety to me, though.
Dude, and I don't even. And maybe it's like. Maybe I actually do have ADD or something. I don't know, but it's weird. It's always been like this, but usually it's and so finding a an object for that obsession.
Yeah.
And so, and even today, it's not, my brain isn't always conspiracy theories. It's like, it'll be disc golf. It'll be weight room. It'll be, and I will my brain over obsesses
I get it.
with everything and watching the Denver Broncos. I'm over obsessed with and a lot of it isn't even, maybe it is unhealthy. If you're a psychologist and you're listen to this and you're hurting for me, you reach out to me. Let me know.
If you have good rates, send me an email.
Let me know what I can do. Yeah, for real.
No.
If you accept crappy health insurance.
Yeah.
It's actually not crappy. It's very expensive.
Since the last time I vented about my health insurance situation, guys, it has gotten more ridiculous. I will not go off on it, but I am going into this new year praying, because I don't think I'm alone in thinking that health insurance is kind of it's not doing the trick for me anymore. It's kind of Anyways,
it's changed.
To be a downer.
No,
and then I just bring in the real world adulting downers. I'm like, hey, this sucks.
Maybe I just escape.
It's your escapism, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
a little bit.
But no, I've talking to a few different people. This sounds like I'm real world. Not even I saw this online. I'm talking to actual friends, and this seems to be something changed. In the last 3 months, something changed, and it got exception. Not that it wasn't bad before, not that it wasn't getting worse before. It's just something within the last 3 months shifted, and it just got exceptionally worse.
You're talking about health insurance
and the way that they turn things down, and multiple. And what are the odds that I know multiple people personally who have been negatively affected by this within the last couple months? And I do.
And if you're listening and you're not from this area, we're in a pretty rural area, and so it's hard enough finding good facilities that are in network and that don't cost an arm and a leg just to get to, and when that becomes frequent and you have to travel way out of your way, and or out of network in order to get a specialist that you need, it's difficult, guys. So
right, and it's they'll try to make you travel to Omaha to get some medicine, something rather done. That's 8 hours away for us, and no direct flights
within our very state, and it's 8 hours away.
No direct flights, nothing like that. So you got to drive. You could fly to Denver and then over. Denver is 4.5 hours away.
If you're already feeling bad enough that you need a specialist,
exactly.
Ugh.
But Denver is 4.5 hours away, and they'll make you go to Omaha before they allow you to go to Denver. And then Rapid City is an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
And they won't make you go to Omaha before Rapid City. It's crazy.
We've talked pretty specifically about our location where we're at.
I don't care if people know anymore.
Yeah, it's okay.
I carry spicy toys.
So my gosh! Do not leave that.
Become everything now.
Okay, do you realize what you just said though?
Oh gosh! Stop it! No.
I would edit that out, hon.
It's staying.
Oh my gosh! No, it's not. Please
That's
don't.
Hilarious.
Please don't.
That is definitely staying.
No.
Anyway, so I have pew pews. There we go.
That's not much better.
And so if someone wants to be crazy and try to stalk us or something, just they know.
Can't you just say we're locked and loaded or something?
Yeah. We got pew pews. That's the ongoing term for it right now.
I can't unhear.
Stop it.
Okay. Well,
you're
the one who's digging yourself a deeper hole.
I said it, but you were the one who thought it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tell me. If you're really going to leave this in, listeners, tell me what you thought of as soon as he said it. Let me know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway.
Okay, I'm going to pull us back on track.
Yes, please.
It is interesting though, because sometimes in prep for the podcast and all of our group chats and stuff, I'm even finding myself being sucked into this bubble of I'm what would you call it? In the thicket or in the wilderness, because we're biblically accurate Bigfoots. We're Bigfooters, right?
Yeah.
So we're squatchers or whatever. Yeah, squatchers, because it sounds like watchers.
Yeah.
That's what we could be.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
But then that's just like a normal Sasquatch person, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, we're
we
squatchers.
don't even necessarily
we're
believe
out.
in Bigfoot as Bigfoot. We believe in him as a demon. But yeah.
Anyways,
anyway,
we're like, we're out in the boonies. We're all just huddled together in the wilderness, and like we know stuff. We've seen stuff. We've seen all the possibilities. We've seen all the fakes and everything like that. But there's normal people out there who haven't delved into this at all, and it's been an education for me, being on the Discord and seeing all of your perspectives of like people who are even from this area who I may not personally know, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of background information that you have. Or people that I do know where I was like, I did not know that you were this well versed on this issue.
Yeah.
This conspiracy theory, this part, like I did not know you came into contact with people who talked about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of brings out the squatcher in everyone a little bit.
Right.
And but it's a good reminder to hang out with friends who have zero background knowledge, or who maybe just listen to our podcast, but then that's it, and then they don't fall off the deep end with all that stuff. It's refreshing, it's nice, and we need that grounding every once in a while, I think.
For sure. Yeah, if you haven't joined the Discord, do it. If you don't use Discord, add it. It's just an app. It's a fun place, and we have a server where there's some of the tried and true faithful, Christian, non-Christian alike. Like it's, this podcast, we don't make it unknown that I'm a pastor. Like I'm going to bring that into everything that I have. If I really believe what I really believe, it's going to be a major part of everything I do. But we, in that group, it's like all, I was going to say spectrum, but it's all spectrum of faith. Mm-hmm. And we like to have those conversations, but also recognize that all three of us hosts are going to approach things from a biblical perspective. Right. But join the Discord and jump into those conversations. There's been some fun ones. There's been a couple of little bit of debates and arguments that have been healthy. It's a fun place. So you should join the Discord.
The only real theological debates that have come up have been with like pastor versus pastor, and not even verses, but pastor and pastor.
Yeah.
So
getting into it's
a little bit of a
tribulation.
I think that's a good way to relate that though, is because we need to be able to communicate even with these conspiracy theories, and like if you just started talking to a random cloud.
Hey, Cloud.
A random crowd up.
Mr. Jason, thank you for.
I don't know what that was. I don't know if that came across in there, but.
Oh my gosh. What are you even doing?
Prepping for something.
Oh my gosh. But if we were just in a random crowd of people, or even like our pastor friends or something like that, and you just brought up Project Bluebeam, it would be the equivalent of us being in a crowd of non-Christians and bring up transubstantiation, the Eucharist, or fellowship, or just like all of these Christianese topics, and always when you preach, and then when I preach too, which is only occasionally, but you always keep in mind, like, is this a message that is communicable to someone who, like, if they walked in off the street and they've never been to a church service, a Christian service, anything before, would they be lost? Or would you be communicating it in friendly enough terms that, and not dumbing it down, but just simplifying it and getting past all the Christian language that we've come up with as a culture?
Yeah.
And would they be able to hear the heart of what you're saying,
right,
and understand it and hear the message behind it? And I think it's the same with the conspiracy theory stuff. It's like we can't hit random people hard and heavy with it, because then that's when you start sounding crazy. But like you got to ease it into the conversation a little bit, or be like,
for sure,
I'm into this. I'm kind of crazy, but.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, and I kind of shared this before, but it kind of goes back to my thought process and my belief that as a Christian, like you're already red-pilled. You already believe that the system that exists isn't all that there is. That there is something pulling the strings behind the scenes. Now,
well, and that it's never going to be perfect, you know?
Right. And you go deeper than that. So the thing's pulling the strings. So you've got God, who's ultimately doing everything for his glory. And then you've got the scriptural shadowy government. You've got the principalities. It talks about specifically, we don't pray against flesh and blood. We pray against the dark principalities and the evil. And so we don't, we recognize as Christians that somebody who cuts me off in traffic is not my enemy. It's the demon that's inside of them.
Are you trying to preach to me? Because I have pregnancy road rage like no other.
Oh, dude, you do. I just don't let you drive anymore.
Help! I'm in an oppressive marriage.
But no, but there is talking about what is a dark principality. What is that? We don't talk about that as Christians, but like our enemy, our biggest enemy, the biggest thing that it says that we battle against, the battle that we are in, that you and I as Christians are in, are against the dark principalities of this. Well, what is a dark principality? Do we talk about it? And we talk about it.
But
yeah, we do.
That's another thing.
We talk about demons.
The average Christian doesn't
demons.
really talk about it. Like we've come across a lot of people who are just like, and they get weirded out or they leave the conversation even talking about it.
Right.
And it's like, or they think we're giving too much power to it by mentioning it. We've brought this up early in the podcast.
Yeah. But I don't. I think that the best battle plan and a lot of scriptural battles play out like military things. And I think the better you know your enemy, the better equipped you can be against him.
And for me, it's a reminder that like, we're not in this life to feel comfortable. Like that's not just going to happen. That's not God's purpose for us being on earth.
Yeah.
Our earth is, or our purpose for being on earth while we're Christian, why God doesn't just instantly beam us up to heaven when we accept Christ, is to serve the lost people of this world and help in the battle for souls.
Right. Our eternity began. Yeah. Our as Christians, based off of what we believe, our eternity began the day that we gave our life to Christ, not when we die. Yeah. Our eternity is already here. We're living in our eternity. Yeah. And so for me, my thought process is, and I think the reason a lot of Christians don't talk about this stuff, we talked about how me being involved in conspiracy theories could be an escapism, but I think it's the opposite. I think that as Christians...
It's a wokeism.
Wokeism. I think as Christians, choosing not to engage with this stuff and like not engage in, and even just learning a little bit more, making yourself a little bit more powerful in this stuff, I think that's escapism. Mm. It's something that you're afraid of, and we're not supposed to be afraid of the enemy. Like, dude, as a Christian, like, you're not supposed to be afraid of him. Now, that doesn't mean, I posted a picture in the Discord. I think I posted it on Facebook too, of we were in the board game shop and they had choose your flavor of Ouija board. There was like themed Ouija boards. There's so many. There's like even a kids version out now. And it's like they've got these Ouija boards that are
Wednesday, the show Wednesday.
Yeah, that one too.
From like the Addams Family.
And there was the Exorcist version. I was like super duper demon. And then there was like a vintage. There was like, it's sketchy. But they're marketing these things. And so I'm not saying like, don't fear demons, go play with. No. I'm saying don't fear demons and learn that playing with Ouija boards is probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
You should at least do enough research to figure out like what is a principality? What are demons? Like the fact that my mind was broken when I learned that the Bible doesn't explicitly tell us what a demon is. It doesn't explicitly lay out that a demon is a fallen angel. And then, when you look in First Enoch, and it spells out specifically that demons are disembodied spirits of Nephilim, and it's like, okay, well, that I can contrast that with what the Bible says, and then you go to try to find it in the Bible, and the Bible doesn't explicitly say what it is. And so
every time you say that, I go a little quiet because I haven't personally gone looking for that, to confirm or deny that, and that's a big whole Bible kind of search. So
it is.
So I'm still not sure how or if I should fact check that,
Yeah. I mean, do it. And if you fact check me and I'm wrong, I'll call it out on the podcast. I'll admit my defeat,
that?
But I have yet to find
smackdown.
I've yet to find a single spot in the Bible that it specifically lays out what a demon is. In fact, I just recently found out that if you look at the original language of the snake in the garden, that you can actually break down the language of its name to be a cherubim. So there's a possibility that the snake and there's a possibility, I'm not saying this is fact, but if you break down the original language of it, that it's not talking about that. I think it's the deceiver is what it said, or something like that. I wasn't planning on talking about this, so I'm just pulling this out of my backside. But PC for our Christian listeners. But anyway, but yeah, if you break down the language, it basically is saying cherubim. And so it's possible that the deceiver was actually a cherubim that was in the garden guarding it. Bro.
Wow. Interesting.
Like things like that, like we just don't talk about it. But anyway, we went off on...
good at translating Aramaic and Hebrew and Greek.
Yeah, and that's I do kind of look at that stuff for fun, but I don't know the language well enough to be able to. I'd have to do more research, but
I want to keep expanding my education. It's just finding the time to do it.
We went off on kind of a crazy rabbit trail, but I think
Phil was here, he would have caught us earlier.
Yeah, right. We'd still be going. But,
sometimes he gets excited about a point and he's like, no, we're going to go back and I'm going to talk about this. So,
yeah, he does.
So I want to give him some credit.
Yeah, I'm learning that apparently I am the only source of us getting off topic. But anyway, okay, so getting back on topic. But I do think that it's important for us as Christians to actually like do a little digging.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to not fear learning about this stuff so that you can learn it.
Right.
Because one of the things that's kind of crazy is some of these orbs. Have you seen the images of the orbs? That's like, it looks like a rotating wheel, and it honestly looks like
the wheel
angel
within a wheel.
Yeah, it looks like a biblically accurate angel. And then it talks about what the color of it would be.
Yeah.
And the color is the exact color of the orb that was recorded. It's that orange or yellowish, like the almost like goldish yellow color.
Oh, yeah.
It specifically says that they're that color. And sure enough, that's what color this orb is. But so kind of going back onto what we're talking about.
This is my quick little pedestal of like, this is why we believe in absolute truth. Being Christians, we believe in absolute truth. We don't believe in like relativism. We believe that God is the truth. God is reality. And we're just trying to discover how our reality and how truth actually aligns with him, and we try and bring ourselves into alignment with him.
And I want to be careful to say, as Christians, we aren't saying that our truth.
Right. We're just doing our best
there is a truth.
We're on a journey to find
and
truth.
We're trying to find that truth. But because of that leaves room for other people to be correct and us to be wrong.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be no animosity between that.
Right.
But that we do truly believe that we are on that path to find that truth.
And we believe that there are right paths to get to there, and that God can direct you, but we don't believe that all paths and all beliefs believe to truth. So yeah, I don't know. That's more complicated than I even wanted it to be, but I guess we start talking about absolute truth, it's going to be complicated. But that's how important clinging to God in Scripture and the truth that I know is when I see these videos. And I'm like, what is it? What could it be? Is this video even legit? Is it AI?
Question,
Is it CGI? Are they just feeding into the phenomenon because they want the views?
Yeah, just in the last day I've seen, there was the one I sent you that was like, whoa, what is this? And then I did a little digging into it and realized, oh yeah, this is the grass is green. This is clearly not.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, this is, and then it was war footage from like last year.
Yeah.
And then there's another video of a plane going out scanning a canal with green lasers that they're trying to say is New Jersey, but that was clear back 3 years ago, because I remember it popping up and it was a question. So it's like people are just putting stuff out for views.
You have to dig to find the truth because even the media, even mainstream media, they have an agenda.
Yeah.
Like even, and this is something, I went to youth conventions when I was 15 years old.
Mainstream media, I got it.
And one of the like the main theme of the youth convention is that God is truth, and that the media has an agenda and they want to lie to you. They want to brand you with their brand and just kind of indoctrinate you into that. And so I had heard that message 15 years ago, but now it's like people are actually like, wow, you can't really trust the news anymore.
Right,
I'm like,
right,
dude, wow.
Have you seen with Luigi's Mansion stuff, how all of a sudden the media, even though like as people, we're all pretty much on the same page from what I've seen. We all kind of agree. And all of a sudden the media is like, okay, the Democrats, we believe this, and now Republicans, we believe this, and we're on opposite sides of this. And in reality is like, we're not. We actually, this is an issue where it's like there's a major gray zone, and we recognize that. And we actually all kind of agree with each other. There is a gray zone here.
I believe that I'm just going to use the symbolism of the Hydra this entire episode. But the Hydra has many heads, and I believe it's some are from the left and some are from the right. But like that is my personal belief. It's just like, I don't believe that there's any truly fully altruistic side with the media right now. I just don't believe it.
But it's crazy because as somebody who is more conservative, all of a sudden the conservative news stations are like, no, we are against this because of this. And I'm like, actually,
pump the brakes.
We as conservatives don't agree with you, but it's like they're trying, and it's not, hey, this is our opinion. It's like,
I just heard you contradict that very thing earlier this week.
Yeah. It's not, hey, as conservatives, we believe this way. It's like, no, you are conservative, so you will believe this. And it's like, it's more of a trying to tell you what you should believe rather than saying, hey, we're reporting this is what our side believes.
Well, and they get first dibs on all of that information, and then they communicate it to us. And that's I mean, we're not going out being journalists every day. We're not on the ground in New Jersey looking at the skies. So we take the information that comes to us. And so that's where it's like, eventually, that's one of the great things about the Bible. It's available to everyone, and so you can find out the truth for yourself. But I don't know, Well,
and that's actually, so since downloading TikTok 2 weeks ago, I haven't had it very long. I've decided there is one benefit of TikTok, but the problem with the benefit is it's also a problem, and that the number one benefit of TikTok is that it's not owned by somebody within our country that has an agenda.
Yeah.
So they're less likely to ban weird things going on within our country. The problem is it is a different country that has an agenda and would like nothing more than to create chaos within our country. And so I get both sides of that argument, but I am noticing that information is more free on TikTok in the sense of they're not shadow banning certain things. They're not shadow banning a lot of the things that the media in America and the social networks in America are banning.
Yeah.
And so having to use words like spicy ballistics, that doesn't exist on TikTok, but it does on Instagram, YouTube, and all these other platforms. Spotify is a little more free. I haven't seen a dramatic drop off or increase on Spotify when you use shadow bannable words, but on YouTube there's a dramatic. It's crazy. The episodes where we use more shadow ban words and we let some slip, and I just choose not to edit them out. Those views on YouTube are 100% of the time less than the ones where we talk about something completely random that isn't.
Do they shadow ban you for using the word shadow ban?
They might, honestly. I might have to come up with a new word and call it like. Dark disappearances. But anyway, speaking of the media, there was some breaking news today, and I just wanted to play it for everybody because they actually, speaking of the drones, actually kind of revealed something important.
Yeah.
And so I just want to let them say it, and it's a super short clip, so we shouldn't have to worry about being copywritten, banned or anything like that, but I'm just going to try to play it over the speaker.
Some of those drone sightings are, in fact, drones. The reported drone sightings.
Did it just cut it off at a dumb point, though?
It goes, okay, let me. All right, I'll play it one more time so you can hear it in all of its glory. This is the very end of the clip, and so this is the speaker what is his name? Mayorkas or whatever. Anyway, here, I'll play it one more time.
Some of those drone sightings are, in fact, drones. The reported drone sightings.
Some of those drones are, in fact, drones.
Oh,
the reported drones. Some of them are drones. Okay, so to kind of go back to the drones, so
we should just invite a guest on sometime, and then just completely like chop up everything they say and make it sound so sketchy.
Make them sound like
you gave us your voice. We're gonna make you sound so unintelligent.
So fun.
Because I mean that's what the news does to you,
dude. If Jordan ever actually listens to the podcast, I am so doing that to him. Or if he continues,
it'd be really funny if our first guest was someone who doesn't listen to this episode, doesn't know we're going to
has no clue. That would be amazing. But anyway, no, we weren't even planning on. We were planning on getting back to our normal like schedule this week.
Yeah.
Because we have episodes that we need to release that have already been recorded. But it seems like every time.
Thalassophobia Part 2 coming soon.
Yeah, it'll probably be next week's. Unless something else happens. And that's the thing, like, or if we record an episode and we decide it needs to get out sooner. But so much seems to be changing that I just kind of wanted to like stay on top of it.
Yeah.
And then selfishly, also the drone podcasts are hit right now.
Yeah.
Because people are searching for those things. And so selfishly, I want people to find our podcast because of that. Yeah.
But also it's a hot topic with us right now too. Yeah. So we want to report stuff as we see it.
And though this podcast is typically going to be, we choose a topic, we record it and then release it. It's not going to be a extremely relevant all the time. When stuff is happening like this, I want to have the flexibility and the freedom to just release an episode without being pigeonholed so hard that we are never like fully relevant on current events. Because if all of a sudden, but like I tell you this, if all of a sudden news comes out that they sacrificed the red heifer, guaranteed we're skipping whatever we were doing and we're talking about that. Sure. You know what I mean? Because it's relevant information. It's important to stay ahead. But so this kind of goes crazy, and so it's like the new revelation since even last week. Some of the things, it's like all of a sudden things shift and things change. But before we get into that, I kind of wanted to share a few important news things that have popped up that aren't necessarily drone related, just to get them out of the way so that we can go back to the drone stuff and maybe even finish up a little bit of the UAP hearing stuff. Okay, so important piece of information number one. Part of Joe Biden's pardoning, because he pardoned like a ridiculous amount of people, he pardoned 2 Chinese spies.
Okay.
Why?
Dude.
Another piece of information that is crazy. So a scooter, spicy ballistic, not even spicy, just ballistic.
Scooter?
A scooter, BOMB.
I don't know the term. I'm picturing scooter, like a razor scooter from our childhood.
It's an electric scooter. It's a BOMB. They turn it into
instead of like a car.
They turned it into a.
No.
So instead of a car, it's a scooter, and it killed the Russian chief of nuclear protection services in Russia. 4 miles away from where they were meeting.
Oh my gosh.
And Ukraine somehow either changed out his scooter or packed it, and the explosion was like the equivalent, I think I saw, was like 300.
So it wasn't a beeper?
It was like 300 units of TNT.
Oh my
equivalent.
gosh.
Like it blew him up.
Oh my
It didn't
goodness.
just like the beeper. So it's not like the beeper, the pagers.
The pagers,
where it was just like, it got really hot and then, whoosh, and then took out, unalived a few people. No, it straight up. I gotta go use the word unalived for the Russian.
Made a crater in the sidewalk.
It took him out. But it was specifically the chief on nuclear protection. That's interesting to me. Why?
What a way to go. I don't know.
It's so interesting.
Is that being like reported by mainstream news?
Yes, that it happened.
Okay, because some of this stuff is like big stuff, and I'm like, how are we not hearing about it on mainstream
like
news?
The fact that Joe Biden pardoned 2 Chinese spies. Why is that?
I heard that it was the biggest amount of batch of pardons like ever in history.
There was a lot of. You should go through. There's some sketchy. There's a lot of.
There's a lot
of child predators. Wow. Multiples of them. That he pardoned. In my mind, those are untouchables. Like those are people that need to be in jail for the rest of their life. Those are people. Those are people who I get it. Like give your life to Christ, but because of your actions, you're in jail for the rest of your life. There's no I don't. Period. And Joe Biden pardoned a bunch of them. Another piece of news is that they have straight up started to roll out the actual process of the Google Play and Apple for how to remove TikTok come January 19th.
Wow. Which is something that we have been tracking for a while.
Yep. But in rebuttal to that, Trump has made it clear that he's looking at it because he's saying, what can we do to work with TikTok? Because he actually attributes a lot of his success to the fact that there was a free market of information. And so he's basically saying a lot of the reason he thinks he won was because of platforms like TikTok. And so he's working with it. But they have began rolling it out. Didn't he used to be against
TikTok and he wanted
He
wanted it banned.
And I don't know for sure if he did, but I know that he wasn't for it.
Yeah.
But his son, Barron, bringing him on as an advisor, I think was really, really intelligent. A really intelligent thing that Trump did. And, okay, so moving on. This is just rapid fire news.
That's fine.
Israel dropped a BOMB on Syria that was so massive that it registered as a 3.1 on the Richter scale.
Oh my gosh.
Talking BOMB. Registered as an earthquake. They're calling it the earthquake BOMB. Literally calling it that. Straight up just massive. But I think the reason I guess the reason
stressed now.
Well, I guess the reason why, so this should unstress you a little bit. I think the reason why it was so massive was because it was already a big one, but they dropped it on a munitions depot. So the combination of all the munitions, so they took out
it was like a fireworks factory being lit on fire.
Oh, the videos of it are insane.
You haven't sent me any of that. I've just been getting drones.
I have sent it.
Drones. No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I just send you so much that it gets lost.
Maybe I haven't gotten to it yet.
It's possible. So then,
and yet you're not watching like the lighthearted videos of like puppies and funny stuff that I've been sending you. So
I do. I've been watching them. Mm-hmm. They're kind of nice break between the BOMBs.
I know. I am stressed.
Okay, anyway, so then now Germany's government has officially collapsed.
Oh my gosh.
But I want to be clear that when I say that their government's collapse, it's a radical term for something that's not as radical. It just basically means they're a lot less effective to do things because there's basically a vote of no confidence. So it's almost like almost like an impeachment in America, but like a step further. So like they basically like impeached their leader and then but taking it not just hey, you were impeached, but actually removing him from office and saying like vote of no confidence. We want somebody new. I think France has had 7 in 7 years. They just keep voting their dudes out.
Kind of what happened with back in the 30s.
I think so.
Yeah, because I'm reading Dietrich Bonhoeffer's biography, and it's kind of laying out that history. And I'm like right in that part right now where it's talking about the rise of that certain person who started out as a commissioner, and then you had the followers with brown shirts. And yeah. So. Yep.
Yeah. Good times.
So that sketches me out a little bit.
Yeah. It's. I think the biggest concern with it is if something were to happen, it would be harder for them to, like, let's say something did break out. It would be harder for their governments in order to fund or approve action. So, like, let's say WW3 does kick off. And it just means that their governments it would take longer for them to join in because they would have to elect a leader, a president or whatever, a prime minister, whatever their government calls it. Yeah. And then that would be the next step.
It's funny because part of me is like, government, do we really need it? But then when there's not a government in place, I'm like, Dude, I don't know what I think. But like anarchy is just just as scary, you know?
I made eye contact with somebody who took their grocery cart from Walmart and then parked it next to their car and then just got in their car. Like, they saw me see them, and they still didn't care enough to put their cart away. And that goes back to the theory. I think the grocery cart carts are the reason why anarchy cannot exist, because there's no law that you have to put your cart away. There's no rule that says if you take this, you must put it away. There's no law, no rule. 90% of people are like, okay, cool. Yeah, be a good Samaritan. You know, the system works better if we actually take our carts back and make that little bit of a sacrifice to make things organized. Mm-hmm. But there's that 10% that go, there's no rule. You can't do anything about it. Right. You can watch me do it, and I do not care what you think. And I'm going to make it as inconvenient as possible for everybody else in order for my own convenience. Yeah. And so the grocery cart theory, in my opinion, is the reason why anarchy cannot exist and a true lawless society can't exist and can't function.
Well, yeah, isn't a good thing. Yeah. That kind of works hand in hand with the broken window theory, doesn't it?
What's the broken window theory?
I think it's called broken window theory. If not, it's the broken window experiment or whatever. Whoa. But like, you leave a car on the side of the road.
Oh yeah.
And it's just it's a regular car, and it's like off the road, out of the way and stuff. People don't tend to mess with it as much. But if you leave a car on the side of the road, you break one window, come back in a day or two, all the windows are broken, all of the tires are gone, you know, because people see like one sign of someone who's not being a good Samaritan, and then it enables them to make the same kind of sketchy decisions. Right. Like, well, the window's already broken, then what's a missing tire? Like, I'm going to do the same, you know?
It's like trespassing on a site that's no trespassing. If it's run down, you're more likely to be like, who's going to care? But if it like looks immaculate, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I guarantee they have cameras, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's that. I think it's a psychology thing. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it.
No, I have. As soon as you started talking about it, I couldn't remember.
But that's true. You did say, oh, yeah.
Kind of getting through rest of the news.
Yep.
So Trump did a presser and...
a presser, not
oppressor.
Oppressor.
Trump did the oppressor conference. Dude isn't even president, and he's straight up like ruling like he's doing more.
Well, and not even just like he's ruling like it's just everyone's treating him like he's already in office.
Yeah, he's doing more than the person outgoing is, as far as for like the benefit. And man, politics, I don't want to get into it, but it's like we got one who's releasing like communist Chinese spies, and the other one is like, hey, trying to actually figure out what's going on, you know? So he did a press conference, and he basically confirmed that he's had meetings and he basically said it's got to be our government, because they know what it is, they know what's happening, they know where these drones are going and coming from.
Specifically talking about drones, yeah.
Drones, yeah. Kind of transitioning back into the drone stuff. So they know where they're coming from and they know where they're going. So he's saying they know where these are coming from, where they're going.
Something about a garage, like he knows what garage they're going.
What they're going, yeah. He straight up says that they know, and then he warned against, in a kind of a weird way, of not being in Bedminster, New Jersey.
Yeah,
he basically said if you're, I'm canceling anything in Bedminster, and if you're there, I would basically said like, I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but yeah, basically says like, hey, shouldn't be in Bedminster. So if you're in Bedminster and you're listening to this, bro, come take a vacation. Like, just get out of town for
rural
a few minutes.
Midwest. We still have some drones, but not that many.
You're less likely to get hit by a spicy ballistics out here, even though they all exist out here. But anyway, that's And then there's videos. So did you see the video of the drone that basically it's flying across, and then there's an orb.
Yes.
And it slowly makes its way towards it.
I wouldn't use flying across or slowly to explain the way that
then we're talking about two different videos.
Okay.
So there's one where there's an orb and there's a drone kind of making its way towards it. It gets a little closer, and then it kind of angles a little different, and then it slowly starts making its way, and it seems like as soon as it makes contact, it just drops.
Yeah. So I've seen that. Like I've seen one where it happened like that, but it was like the drone was on one side of the screen, the orb was on the other, just remaining stationary in its point, and it was like the drone all of a sudden set sights on it, and it was like quick and like moving directions and kind of doing almost like I didn't see that staircase. I'm pretty sure it's one of the ones that you sent me, or maybe Phil, or maybe
it could be, or I saw it,
or Discord, or I saw it, but yeah, and then it just kind of hovers there as though like trying to plan it out, and then it just kind of like moves around, and then it finally goes up above the orb, and then like makes contact from above, and then that's when it just poof, and the light turns from green to red, and it just straight drops to the ground.
That for me, so multiple videos like that. Yeah, that to me implies that whatever the orbs are, there's some electronic energy there, because in order for them to do that, they've got to be either but the fact they have lights on doesn't necessarily suggest EMP. Then
that's something that I wanted to
suggest control, that it basically took over control of the flight and then disappeared it.
Yeah. But the light, the light switched to red. But yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, so
we do know that government drones have the capability of seizing control of citizen drones.
Yeah.
And forcing control.
But it's like this drone just got led to it like a fly zapper, and then just and then But anyways,
peace.
But no, that's something that I brought up to you a couple days ago, which is like we're seeing all of these drones, but like all these videos, they have lights on them. It's at night, and they have lights on them. If they were nefarious, if they were not government, why are they like following the guidelines of keeping the correct lights on?
Yeah, specifically the correct lighting.
Yeah. The one stationary, one blinking light.
FAA regulation.
Is that FAA? Okay.
And then not only that.
See, I don't know these terms. This is why we need Phil here.
No, well, I mean, yeah, but so they have the FAA regulation lights on, and then on top of that, there's a certain height that they have to be in.
Yeah.
They're staying within that height requirement as well. It doesn't seem like they are. Yeah. And so if it was a different country, why would they care about our FAA regulations? Right. They wouldn't.
Unless they wanted to be seen.
But then on the other hand, so it seems like some of the videos that come out that when they seem to be spotted knowingly, they go black.
Yeah.
Like the drone back in 2019 that you saw.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as they're spotted, they go dark.
That is sound against like a conspiracy FAA regulations.
Yeah. That is against FAA regulations. So why would something that knew it had to adhere to FAA regulations all of a sudden choose to not go according to FAA regulations just because it was spotted?
Yeah. And this is where my brain gets all twisted up, and I'm just like, well, whatever.
Okay.
But no. I saw one video of a drone pew-pewing at the ground.
I saw that one, and then there was another one.
It looked like Star Wars.
Yeah. It's like laser shots.
Yeah.
So somebody said that when they do that, they're not shooting ammo, they're actually shooting mini drones out.
What?
I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that either way, but that would make sense why they're not like, because if you've seen a bullet, like a tracer round, things are fast. And it seems like they're the laser pew-pews are almost like slow, like Star Wars.
I was thinking, man, that's just fake. But yeah, no, I wouldn't have thought of that possibility.
And then
I did see one video where it was like one drone on another drone battle, and then all of a sudden the drone that got attacked like split into two drones.
Oh, I saw. Yes,
and then I saw that, and I was like, and then people in the comments were like, "Nice AI," and that's my thing. It's like
it could be
like. Y'all need some absolute truth, and people are searching for an absolute truth, because you can't just like relativism your way out of this. Because
I tend to really only put much stock into ones that seem to have been caught by multiple angles. Because if this is going on in New Jersey, there's millions of people,
and I don't care enough to track. I'm sorry.
There's millions of people, and a lot of times what you see is when you see a video, if you pull up the comments, a lot of times somebody will respond with the video from a different angle.
Oh,
and so a lot of times you can verify that it's not AI because you can literally go into the comments and click on that.
But I don't want to do that with 20 videos a day.
You don't have to. But if we're going to share about them, if I'm going to talk about them on the podcast, I should probably be. So one of us should be. So I'm going to be because this is entertaining.
I'll just continue
for
to bring the skepticism then.
Yeah, you bring the skepticism and I'll bring the verification. But yeah, there was one where there was 2 videos of 2 drones going at it, and one of them blew the other one up. Blam! Like full blown explosion in the air. It was kind of cool.
Wow.
So
I saw one where I think it was the one where one of them split into 2, but then the drone just like lost it and just like and like landed on a car in the garage of like the person who was filming, or not the garage, in the driveway of the person who was filming. And that's what made me like,
I saw that one too. That one was a
you just
smaller
happened
drone.
to get that perspective.
Well, but the crazy thing
feels fake, and it looked kind of fake.
Well, but the thing that's crazy about that one that is tough for me to see AI doing this is it started cracking out as though there was interference with the electrical field.
What started cracking out?
There was a video of one where maybe this is a different video than what you're talking about. There was a video of a drone that crashed into one of his cars in his driveway.
Yeah.
And as soon as it hit, the screen started cracking out as though there was
the screen of the video.
Yeah,
okay.
the video
is
like
that's all I was asking for.
Yeah, there was magnetic interference, and so I don't think AI currently is capable, but video editing would be. You could video edit that. And so it might not necessarily be AI, because you know how people talk about like Photoshop, like everything that you edit a photo, it's Photoshop. So then people say, oh, it's not Photoshop, but they still edited it.
Yeah.
Same thing I think is going on here. They're like, it's not AI, but it's just video editing. And so that could have been video editing.
How deep do we have to wade into the muck in order to figure out the truth on this stuff, you know? And it's stuff that is just like in our face. It's in mainstream news. Like, we have somewhat flexible schedules, especially now that we're on Christmas break.
Right.
But like, how does the average American, how are they supposed to parse out what's real and what's not anymore?
And I think that's why, like, currently, without having visual, like you saw it with your own eyes kind of thing, it's tough. And so I'm going to end on, we had to take a break. Our son started to wake up, and so we needed to be quiet. So if it sounds disjointed, sorry. But yeah, and so that's where I think having to see, like being able to see and verify, and that's where having known people personally who saw the drones in 2019, for me, causes all of this to be so much more believable. But beyond that, also, you know, I think there's just so much at play that it's hard to determine what is actually going on. Because like there's that video, do you see the video of the lady with the orange, the yellow, like the goldish, it looked like the orb that's the biblically accurate angel orb, and she, as soon as she mentions Jesus, all of a sudden it starts like pulsing.
And
she's recording it.
No,
And
I have not seen that.
she's like, do you know my friend Jesus? And it starts pulsing, and she's like, oh, you know Jesus. And it's like it got excited.
Oh wow.
And it's like,
have you posted that in the Discord yet?
No, I should.
Yeah.
I'll have to find where it went. But it's interesting because it's like, now, it could be coincidence, could be somebody putting voice over something that was already excited. There's so many things, you can't trust it. But and that kind of leads into the age where, like, from the podcast, from our Discord, we call him BA Red, he brought up the idea of the Antichrist being AI, and could the Antichrist actually just be AI?
Wow.
And you know, we kind of got into the theological reasons why it can't, why we think it can or can't, and the mark of the beast. And, you know, we talked about the mark of God is figurative. So then could the mark of the beast be figurative as well? Is it literal? That kind of stuff. And we got into that conversation on the pod, or on the Discord. But that we're entering in an age where all of those questions are all of a sudden like feasible, because up until now you're like, no, AI, that's not going to happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, maybe. Well, and then what company is it? Was it Google, or one of the companies created that computer chip that is like 10 quadrillion times more powerful than the most powerful supercomputer that exists.
Willow or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody theorized that maybe that the drones are China trying to find that chip so that they can steal it and use it for nefarious reasons. That's a good theory. But again, it's so random. There's just so much. So in pursuit of finding the truth, and we'll end on this, in pursuit of finding the truth, I came across a podcast episode by Charlie Kirk. Do you know who Charlie Kirk is? He's he's a polarizing figure. in the political world, because he's the one who owns the Turning Point USA.
Oh,
and so he goes on to colleges and debates college students, and he's kind of brutal, but he's Christian and is trying to present it as though like you should know better kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whether you love him or hate him, irrelevant, because this podcast, he brought in a drone maker, like literally one of the top drone makers in the world. This dude has worked for the government, our government, other governments. Like, he is a top-notch drone maker. Dude's name is John Ferguson. So he was on a show, and Charlie Kirk just basically said, hey, you've came out with some clips that have been kind of radical lately. I just want to give you a platform where you can just share everything, share what you know, just talk. You have the freedom, you have the platform. I want you to talk uninterrupted, share your side of things. And Charlie Kirk just shut up, didn't say a word, and let John Ferguson speak. And so John Ferguson said that he's pretty sure that the bulk of the drones that we're seeing are American drones. Because he talked about the FAA regulations. He talked about the design of them, the way they even look like American drones that have been, and the size of them.
Recognizable.
Yeah. And as a drone maker, he straight up says, like, I am an expert in this. I'm a leading expert in this. I just want to present my opinion on what it looks like. Now, he said there is the possibility that they could be Chinese drones imitating American drones for nefarious reasons. But he brought up a few different really interesting things in this interview, and I just kind of want to highlight some of them. So he said months back, there was a spicy ballistic, nuclear ballistic, that was basically off the record and it was a missing. It was reported as a missing device.
From where?
This was off the records as being missing, not off the records. It was on the record as being missing from Ukraine, and it was one of their last. Back when they had to get rid of their devices, their nuclear devices. It was one of the last ones, and it disappeared. Well, he personally knows a person who was over there in Ukraine, actually literally had hands on it, held this thing, and verified that it was a usable spicy suitcase device. Wow. Okay. And he then reported it to the authorities in America, trying to warn them, hey, I had my hands on this thing, and it is designated as on its way to America. You need to get this thing under control. And this dude's like undercover in Ukraine.
On the way to America, as in like it's attacking?
As in it's on its way to America in a nefarious reason. Yeah. As in, like, people we really don't like are the ones who are in control of this. He's an undercover person.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's a government official who's like, he's an undercover. Okay. So he gets actual hands on this thing, warns America. From all intents and purposes, they basically do nothing, and it is disappeared again. And so this drone maker, John Ferguson, he thinks that it made its way to its destination, and it is in America, because it seemed like when all of a sudden they warned that this spicy device was on its way, that instead of tightening our border securities, instead, the administration that's in charge currently at the time of recording this decided to loosen it and started spending $100,000 per person to fly people from third world countries over to America.
Right.
Like, instead of tightening up security, they loosened it. And so he's like, it could have made its way over to America at the security levels they were. And chances are, when you loosen that security, there's a good chance it made its way over here. So he thinks that they are just regular old. Now, he said that the agency, and he listed the agency, and for some reason I didn't write it down. And I just now see, because I meant to write it down, but it's basically an organization it's a known letter agency, but it's kind of a shadowy one. Their budget's kind of off the books, and their entire job is finding nuclear ballistics. So their entire job is to trace this stuff and find this stuff in America and overseas. And so they're a shadowy black budget organization that basically that's their job. And so they kind of need to be off record, because they're going to be infiltrating other countries. Yeah. Well, so his theory was that it's drones that are owned by that organization, which is why they're FAA compliant and why they're doing things specifically by the books, and they're flying and they're, they seem to be doing everything that they're supposed to be doing.
Why the government's not saying that there's a threat to the public.
Because the government both doesn't want to take accountability for what they did and their negligence.
Did or didn't do.
And they don't want to freak people out and have everybody just mass exodus all of the area. But also, 3, they don't want to tip off the people who are in control of it to maybe detonate it early because they don't want to get caught, and so it could lead them to detonate it before their plan or before it gets to his destination. So this guy sharing that,
doesn't it kind of go against that purpose then? If he actually believes that that's what's going on, why would he share it then?
This guy is not currently working for the government.
Yeah.
He is independent, and he's just basically saying, and he even straight up says...
He still probably does not want this to play out, so why did he want to alert?
Let's say information that could possibly save millions of lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you share it? Even if it was on a random podcast that only gets 1 million views per episode. I would 100% risk going to jail. Because, and he straight up says, and I think he even said in the interview that he's like, the people should know.
Yeah.
That our government's purpose isn't to hide things like this. Our government's purpose is to protect us from things like this.
Yeah. How widespread could the impact of this thing be?
And I don't think he got into that. How big of a spicy device this was. He didn't get into that. But then there's also been stuff that's coming out about how there was a device that went missing back in early December, and that they theorize it's tracing that, and it's a nuclear device that went missing. But I've found enough information on that to confirm that that's not.
And saying spicy in the actual word.
I'm just trying not to say the BOMB word. So if I say spicy, it helps me to.
Okay.
And so the thing that was lost in December, it is factual. There was a nuclear device that did go missing in December, but it is a dental radiation device, just a little rod. It went missing because in its transport to New York, it was, and anything big or small has to be documented.
Yeah.
But the thing that did go missing, it is confirmed that it did go missing, but the thing that did go missing is not capable of being turned into a spicy device. And so the rumors of it being missing from a train, so people are kind of trying to fearmonger with that, because it is a real case. It is a documented case.
Yeah.
But that cannot be used for nefarious reasons, and so they wouldn't be doing this much of a thing in order to find that. So what he finished with, and this is the part that's kind of crazy to me, is so he said that one of the things that they didn't really talk about, you remember the spy balloon that we shot down? Spy balloons that we shot down?
I was going to say, I thought there was more than one. But
they're confirmed Chinese spy balloons. And he said, built onto these weather balloons were 2 very heavy metallic slots for payloads. And so those payloads could have been a port for, say, recon drone could have flown out, come back, and landed. Or it could have been something that just it released it and dropped it, and wherever it dropped it, that item stayed. So it had 2 ports, and both ports were missing on the device specifically the one that was shot down over in North Carolina, I think he said.
And how long ago was this?
This was last year, I think.
Yeah.
So that specific thing, that for some reason they didn't really make it public, but it's public knowledge, but it's not. They didn't report on it. But yeah, there was 2 spots. So there's 2 devices somewhere along the path that it released, and if they released it, it could have released, dropped. Somebody could have picked it up and moved on, and they wouldn't have known because they didn't shoot it down until way later, and they found out that there was 2 slots on this balloon after the fact. So that whatever they were carrying is in the U.S. Now those things are most likely something like drone or a device or something like that, but he just kind of left it at that, as that happened, and just kind of our government's being extremely negligent. It seems like it's intentional right now.
Yeah.
And I kind of see the same thing happening. And to kind of wrap up what we're talking about is I think this is an episode of a cautious.
I'm stressed.
In the sense of, and this is exactly what I want to say is, I don't think we should stress about it, because as human beings in America, what can we really do? We can share the information. We can prepare. We can be prepped. But if we obsess over it, we're giving into the fear.
Yeah.
And there's an alternative theory, which is all of this is just a major distraction away from something else. I think personally, my gut on this is I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Project Bluebeam distraction. It's just a ramping up because they're trying to do something else. And so they're like, look over here. Look over here. Meanwhile, they pass something through the government. Now, there's also another theory that I just ran across today. And this is a more fun theory. And this actually might be the actual answer. So there's a bill that expires December 20th. So this week. It is specifically a drone defense bill.
What?
A drone defense bill. And it gives certain government agencies the right to be the ones who run drone defense. So they're going to be having to pass a new bill of drone defense. And the theory is that they're trying to expand that bill. And so they're allowing the agencies who are in charge of drone defense to kind of just scare people so that when they go to vote for it, they get more control.
How is that fun?
That seems more logical to me than that we just lost a nuclear device and it made its way to America. I just don't think that's as practical.
Yeah.
It's a fun story. The drone, this drone dude, but how do you get it to America? That's the thing. And that's where I think now, yeah, I don't know. But I think something like that seems more plausible with the government that we currently have. Just seems so sketchy that I could see them doing something like that just to pass some of our rights away. But yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, when it comes down to it, it is kind of timely that all of a sudden they have UAP hearings. They announce that these UAPs come from the ocean. They talk about, they have craft that they've recovered from UAPs that have fallen that are not man-made. They say all this stuff.
Engineering.
That they've been reverse engineering everything, and then all of a sudden these orbs show up, and all of a sudden these drones show up. Then all of a sudden it passes and it's going everywhere. And the main platform that it is going everywhere on is TikTok. And they're also banning TikTok. And all of this just seems, it starts to feel too coincidental to not be a very purposeful plan.
Yeah.
To me, we shouldn't be afraid of it. It shouldn't let it stress us out because really our day to day.
You are saying to a pregnant woman who's about to welcome a new life into the world.
Well, because really our day to day.
I know.
If we're talking about our eternity already began, then even if something does go off and a bunch of people die, like our agenda is still the same. As Christians, our agenda doesn't change based on our circumstances, based on our surroundings, our agenda, our goals, our purpose in life doesn't change just because, poop hits the fan.
You burped a little bit before you said poop.
Sorry.
Just added to the effect.
But yeah, and so this is, but I do, and part of the reason I wanted to record this episode is because I do think this information is important enough that I think it's smart to share, but I don't think that it is worth fearing about. And I want to be very careful to end on that we're not to be given into fear. But if anything, just let this be a motivation to love more unashamedly.
Yeah.
Allow the circumstances to push you into love rather than into fear. Love with more intention this week. Love more intention this month. Love more intention this year. And if you're going to be making a New Year's resolution, make your New Year's resolution to be love more unashamedly. And so with that is all I have. Did you have anything else to talk about? Going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, pass this on to somebody else that needs to know about the drones. But either way, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Keep doing it. We love you and thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet heeding the Maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies, not a myth a legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?